must be wonderful to be a doctor.
Yes. Yes, it must. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Bye, Simon.
Dirk Bogarde is an amazingly complicated actor to categorize or define. He's an actor who never seems to be entirely comfortable, and yet at the same time he's enormously comfortable. So he can play anything, and he keeps choosing roles. The more control he gets, the more offbeat and the more dark and complex the roles he chooses to play.
Bogarde is one of those great British actors who emerged out of the post-war scene to embrace the great social cinema of his era and then take that on a stage to embrace an extraordinary level of European filmmaking.
I hate convention. You can't breathe. You have to break away.
But isn't the breakaway of yesterday the convention of today?
Well, then you have to break away again.
Just for the sake of it? Isn't that conventional? And the way young people do today, I mean, the way they dress and the way they dance, the way they talk even. That's more conventional than what they're trying to get away from.
Wouldn't say the way I dress was conventional.
Well, you're dressed in the height of fashion and your hair is...
Oh, I just wash and comb it.
For you, sir, very good.
More conventional than that.
Not only was he a good actor, a very subtle actor, and an actor who took risks, at the same time he was highly intelligent and determined to make the best of himself as an actor and as a writer.
Follow me closely.
Here, I'm looking after these ladies, sir.
Heaven help them.
Dirk Bogarde's legacy is of an extraordinary range of films. It seems to have had three different acts. First act was playing juvenile delinquents, second act playing light comedy matinee idol roles, and the third act playing really, really serious character roles, both in Britain and in the continent. And that amounts to an extraordinary catalogue of work.
Dirk Bogarde was born in 1921 in West Hampstead, London. His parents bestowed upon him a remarkable name at birth.
Derek Jules Gaspard Ulrich Niven van den Bogarde. An extraordinary name. He was a London boy. His father, Ulrich, was of Flemish extraction. That's where the extraordinary name comes from. His mother, Margaret, was a former actress, which may be where some of the acting comes from. His father actually was an arts editor on the Times, so it must have been a slightly cultured household he grew up in. But living in North London, it was very crowded. It wasn't particularly well to do. And he was sort of dispatched by his mother, quite cruelly, to live with sort of family relations in Glasgow, which is where he would be schooled.
He went to high school in Glasgow, and then he had a slightly fractured education both before and after that. He ended up doing a bit of time at Chelsea School of Art, but he wasn't really settling in anything, and he decided to try acting. He started off just with small theatrical roles. It wasn't necessarily clear to him at that point that was his absolute mission in life, but he was experimenting with it and he enjoyed it. And just as he was beginning to find his feet on stage, the Second World War broke out.
Bogarde would serve in the British Army throughout World War II, mainly as an intelligence officer.
He was an expert at interpreting reconnaissance aerial photographs and plotting where they should be bombing on their bombing raids. What happened after that was when he arrived after the D-Day landings in Normandy, he actually went to various sites that had been bombed and, of course, was rather horrified at the results of what he had been party to.
And so he went away from that. And as if that wasn't hard enough a war experience, he was also one of the first soldiers to liberate Belsen, the concentration camp. I mean, his war experience was horrific. And he came away from that saying that afterwards, later in life, that nothing made him scared after the Second World War. No director, no role, nothing. He'd seen all the horrors that he could imagine. It had a profound effect on the man.
Following his horrifying experiences during World War II, Bogarde returned to London, where he attempted to restart an acting career. He would get his first big break in 1948 with the period film Esther Waters.
Who are you, may I ask?
Esther Waters.
Oh, the new kitchen maid. Esther. I like that. I'll take your bundle. Feels like books. I'm William. William Latch. I suppose the rest of your stuff's down at Shoreham.
You work here?
Footman. But I'm doing groom just to oblige the gaffer.
Who's the gaffer?
Well, Squire Barfield. Of course, Mum said against it. She wants me to be a shopkeeper. But I want to be where the horses are. It's the only way to get the real information. Don't you agree?
Dirk Bogarde's first film is Esther Waters, and it's a sort of costume thriller. He plays a scurrilous and mischievous footman who's undermining and destroying the reputation of a young maid. The film itself was reviewed not very well, but people immediately noticed Dirk Bogarde on the screen. They said when he's on the screen, the film survives, and as soon as he leaves the screen, it becomes dead and heavy. And so his first performance, even though it was not what we think of him as, it was a seducer and it was a villain, already he had caught the eye of the critic and the public.
Following Esther Waters, Dirk Bogarde was in high demand as a contracted actor with the Rank organisation. He was in a succession of films at the end of the 1940s, but it was The Blue Lamp, released in 1950, that provided the pivotal moment.
Any trouble?
Nah, dead easy.
Where'd you get it?
Up the dilly. How long's Jordan been there?
Long enough.
The Blue Lamp, I suppose, is the famous sort of launch pad of Dirk Bogarde's career. It is, of course, the film that stars Jack Warner as the Bobby on the beat. It would give us the famous television series Dixon of Dock Green. But it's a film unto itself because it involves Dirk Bogarde's desperate young hoodlum who ends up shooting the noble Bobby.
Get back.
Drop that and don't be a fool. Drop it, I say.
I'll drop you. Get back. This thing works. Get back. Get back, I say. Get back.
I think that scene was the one that probably put him on the map because Jack Warner was kind of everybody's favorite copper. He was the sort of ideal Bobby on the beat, and to have some young thug actually turn around and sort of shoot him dead in the street was I mean, it was so notorious, and it was such a shock that it sort of labeled Bogarde for ages, but it certainly made people sit up and pay attention to this young man.
In the same year as The Blue Lamp, Bogarde would also be cast in So Long at the Fair.
Pardon, monsieur. Yes? Can I help you? Oh, English. Thank heavens. I wonder if you'd mind changing that. I can't pay my cab fare.
Certainly. How much is it?
100 francs.
Afraid I can't do it. I can lend you 50 if that's any help.
You're sure you don't mind?
No, not at all.
Thanks. Would you like this now or will tomorrow morning do?
Oh, tomorrow morning's perfectly all right.
All right. I'll leave it at the desk. Better have your name.
Barton, room 19.
Barton, room 19. Haven't we met somewhere before?
I don't think so.
Didn't I see you with your wife tonight at the Café Brissac?
It's not my wife, it's my sister, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I see. Bad luck.
So Long at the Fair gave him an opportunity to be rather more romantic, rather more sensitive. Up until this point, he played sort of juvenile delinquents or just thoroughly bad guys. In this, he plays a painter in Paris who helps a young lady played by Jean Simmons.
Poor Jean Simmons' character sort of comes to Paris with her brother, David Tomlinson, and wakes up to find him disappeared. It's a little bit like The Lady Vanishes, in a way. And there's no knowledge of him ever having existed. So it's like, has she gone mad? Did she dream him up? And From there, it becomes a kind of one of those mysteries about who does she trust? Who does she fall in with to help her rescue and find her brother, or find out what happened to him? And Dirk Bogarde is this handsome young artist who sort of claims he's on her side. And within it rests this idea that, is he entirely trustworthy? You're not sure. He's very good at sort of holding something back, suggesting something else is going on.
Bogarde continued to star in a string of thrillers, including Blackmailed and Hunted, before turning his attention to a series of films with a World War II setting, including The Gentle Gunman, They Who Dare, and Appointment in London.
One of his more serious films at the time was Appointment in London, in which he played an air wing commando, which was something like what he actually did during the war.
Obviously, this was familiar territory to him. It was a fairly generic war film. However, it does have the most wonderful climax in A Lancaster Bomber. And that whole action sequence is so realistic. It must have brought back incredible memories to him, not particularly pleasant ones, but certainly that has the authenticity of the real deal.
After his run of World War II films, Dirk Bogarde finally found the role that would bring him stardom when he appeared in 1954's Doctor in the House.
You will be expected to arrive at every lecture in class punctually. Last term, it was a disgrace. Students seemed to think they could come in at any time that suited them. Good afternoon. Won't you be seated? May I continue?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Bogarde could prove now that A, he could play villains, he could play young leads, he looked great in a uniform, so that was sort of established. Could he do light comedy? Well, Doctor in the House, he was cast as Dr. Simon Sparrow, the trainee doctor in that, against the wishes of the producers who didn't think that he was capable of light comedy. Boy, were they wrong.
He plays a young doctor who arrives for training. He ends up in a flat share with Donald Sinden, Kenneth Moore, and they're kind of, you know, rugby playing, messing about young doctors with a very stern, overbearing chief surgeon who's in charge of the students. It was a huge, huge hit. By the time the film had finished its initial run, 1/3 of the British public had seen that film.
I like you too. Now we know the truth, couldn't we start all over again? I'm an awful clot, really. I wanted to ask you out often, but I didn't dare ask on my own.
Why not?
You always look so jolly superior, as if I got holes in my socks. You're always laughing at me.
I wasn't, Simon, honestly.
That ruddy suitcase.
Oh, that? Well, it was rather funny.
Well, I suppose it was, really. Look, let's start again from scratch, shall we? We'll buy a gun, we'll go to every place on it.
Right, from start to finish.
Right, come on.
In 1954, Dirk Bogarde starred in Joseph Losey's The Sleeping Tiger.
Very busy man, the doctor.
Yes.
He lectures. Writes. I read one of his books this afternoon. In it, he said that childhood's the thing that counts, your parents and children. But he's wrong. People are born the way they are.
Well, so you do talk after all.
He started a very productive association with Joseph Losey in The Sleeping Tiger, in which he plays a criminal who is being examined by a psychiatrist.
The Sleeping Tiger is a film noir directed by Joseph Losey, who was an American director who'd been blacklisted. He was accused of being a member of the Communist Party, and he couldn't get work in Hollywood. So he came to the UK. Because of the reasons of blacklist, he directed under a fake name. He directed under the name Victor Hanbury, so his name can't be seen on the film. He wanted Dirk Bogarde to play the role. Dirk Bogarde wasn't convinced. He wasn't convinced by the low budget. He wasn't convinced by the blacklisted director. But when he read the script and talked to Joe Losey, he said, yes, no, this is the film for me. And they went on to work on a lot of films together. They became a great director-actor partnership.
For the next 6 months, I'd like you to consider this your home.
And what if one of my friends should be a woman? How would Mrs. Esmond feel if I brought a woman to the house?
Ask anybody you like.
Don't worry. I won't.
After The Sleeping Tiger, Bogarde returned to light comedy with For Better or Worse, and another World War II picture, The Sea Shall Not Have Them, before turning his attention to 1955's Simba.
Oh, don't look so serious, Helen. It was meant to be a pleasant surprise.
Oh, it is. I just expected David's ugly mug, not you, that's all.
He said he's awfully sorry he couldn't meet you, but they're busy dipping cattle today.
Cattle being more important than relations, I presume.
But of course, if you're going to be a farmer, you'll have to learn there.
Yes.
Simba is a very interesting film. He plays a British colonial whose brother has been killed during the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya. And he goes to Kenya specifically to seek revenge for his brother's death. So he's, in the course of that journey, he begins to understand why the rebellion has happened, and he sort of changes his attitude. I mean, it's a very, very idealistic film, and it's also a very melodramatic film, but it has a certain moral responsibility at its core that is quite admirable.
Following Simba, Bogarde spent most of the late 1950s reuniting with director Ralph Thomas, whom he had first worked with on Doctor in the House. Together they made a sequel called Doctor at Sea, where Bogarde appeared opposite French starlet Brigitte Bardot. Bogarde and Thomas would soon make another Doctor's sequel called Doctor at Large, as well as the adventure film Campbell's Kingdom, World War II drama The Wind Cannot Read, and an adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities.
But as far as he could judge, it was a wrong and foolish one on the part of England.
Silence! Anything else?
He added, but there was no harm in the way he said this. It was said laughingly and to beguile the time.
What did he add?
He added that he thought perhaps George Washington might make as great a name in history as George III.
Silence! Thank you, Miss Manette. Officer, look to that young lady. Take her outside, see she gets some fresh air.
Have we your permission to continue, Mr. Cotton?
Yes, my lord.
If ever an actor was born to play Sidney Carton in A Tale of Two Cities, I think it was Dirk Bogarde. There have been several versions of this film. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this is leagues ahead of the rest of them. He's absolutely perfect in it. He's got the right degree of sensitivity. He's got the right degree of heroism. He comes across absolutely wonderfully. You believe every single word he says in it, and I think it stands as a real testament to one of the great Dickens movies.
In 1959, Bogarde starred opposite himself in Libel.
It really is impossible, that chap. He's so uncouth. I just wish we could have him transferred to another hut. Jeff's a very good friend of mine. If it wasn't for him, I'd have been off my head years ago. You don't think I was deliberately reading your letter, do you? No, of course not. I'm glad of that, Mark. You don't mind me calling you Mark, do you? It's a bit presumptuous of me. It's a bit silly after 3 years, wouldn't it?
Libel is an astonishing Dirk Bogarde performance. It's quite a leaden film. It's about a man who arrives in town, sees a lord, and then says, no, that guy isn't the Lord. He was in a prisoner of war camp with me. That's the guy in his hut who murdered him. Dirk Bogarde plays both the Lord and the prisoner of war in the hut, and then another mysterious character called Number 15. So he's playing 3 roles, but without it mattering. It doesn't seem hackneyed or corny. It doesn't seem awkward. He's playing these 3 characters in very, very different ways, very subtle ways. It's really clear who he's playing at the time that he's playing them.
In the early 1960s, Bogarde took on the role of composer Franz Liszt in Song Without End.
Potin, arrange that recital for me.
Certainly, Maestro, certainly.
Franz. And make it on the same night as Thalberg.
The same night?
We'll discuss this tomorrow. Monsieur Franz Liszt is not himself.
On the contrary, Marie, I am very much myself. The same night.
Song Without End is a biopic of the great composer Franz Liszt and would win Dirk Bogarde a Golden Globe for his portrayal of the declining years of the great composer as he sort of succumbed to illness and sort of his great talent faded. And it's kind of remarkable what a great performance he gives, given it was a kind of a production in quite a lot of turmoil. It began with Charles Widor directing it, and Bogarde and Capuchin, his co-star, both did not get on with Widor, found him very domineering, such that when he actually perished midway through the shoot, Bogarde would later admit that he found it a bit of a relief when Georges Cukor replaced him, and they could get on with the business of creating what is a very moving drama.
Beginning of the 1960s, Dirk Bogarde starred in the groundbreaking legal thriller Victim.
His next film showed, I think, the beginnings of his daring, actually, as an actor. He played Victim. It's a very bold film to make at that time because homosexuality was, of course, still illegal.
This was a film about someone who was thought to be gay, someone who, because of the tortuous law of the time, was harried from pillar to post just because the rumors that accumulated round him. Pretty daring film for Dirk Bogarde to make, who was gay. I think of all the films he made, that was an astonishingly courageous performance.
When we were married, we had no secrets from each other. I made you a promise then. I haven't broken that promise, if that's what you mean.
Why did you stop seeing him?
He was getting too fond of me.
Are you sure you weren't getting too fond of him? Answer me. I want to know the truth. I want to know why he hanged himself.
He was being blackmailed.
That's why he stole?
Yes.
Someone found out he was a homosexual and blackmailed him.
That's it.
Bogarde would follow up Victim with the British naval drama HMS Defiant.
Excuse me, sir.
What?
I wish to appeal. There's been a dreadful mistake.
No mistake.
But I'm a gentleman.
The man's an impostor, sir. I questioned him. If you'll excuse me, sir.
Mr. Scott Paget. I must ask you not to turn your back.
I apologize, sir. My other duties.
Until you get permission to the contrary, your duty is here with me.
Keeping his versatility alive, Dirk Bogarde would follow the dark dramas of Victim with a broad naval epic.
HMS Defiant is a riotous film. It's got Alec Guinness, it's got Dirk Bogarde, it's got Anthony Quayle. It's set during the Napoleonic Wars. It's about a mutiny on a ship. Dirk Bogarde is the stern, strict lieutenant who's really critical of his captain, and you can just tell that all the 3 actors are really enjoying themselves. It just feels like they're having fun.
In 1963, Dirk Bogarde shared the screen with Judy Garland in I Could Go On Singing.
I Could Go On Singing, it's significant on a number of levels. Not only was it Judy Garland's final film, it was a film in which both she and Dirk Bogarde really struggled with the script and took it upon themselves to rewrite whole scenes. Clearly they felt, you know, the script wasn't living up to what they hoped it would be. So they really took it upon themselves to take charge of the film. It's an emotional piece about a singer who's had a love child with Dirk Bogarde's married character, who returns to meet the son who's grown older. Something of a social drama more than it is a Judy Garland musical. It was, in the end, sort of rather written off as a sort of disjointed piece. The script never quite got it to work. But it's an interesting pairing, and it's interesting to see Judy Garland working sort of away from all the glamour in something, you know, a bit more earthy and interesting.
I Could Go On Singing was a box office disappointment, and Bogarde decided to return for one final time as Dr. Simon Sparrow in Doctor in Distress. The mid-1960s saw Bogarde make two further films with Ralph Thomas, Hot Enough for June and The High Bright Sun. He also reunited for several more films with Joseph Losey, starting with The Servant.
My name's Barrett, sir.
Oh, God, of course. I'm so sorry I fell asleep. We've got an appointment.
Yes, sir.
What time?
3 o'clock, sir.
Oh, what time is it now?
3 o'clock, sir.
One of the best things he ever did was with Joseph Losey again, The Servant, in which he played a kind of a butler handyman who was very subtly evil. And it was a very good performance indeed, in a pretty good film, in which the whole class structure of Britain was laid bare because the other people in the film were, well, they were very much educated upper-class people. And this man, who was from the working-class background, was trying to break into their circle and trying to show that he was just as good as they were.
What about the other night? You did about 6 of them like that.
There's no reason to take advantage of the fact that you're sitting in the best position.
My dear...
You ought to be able to play the game according to the rules.
My dear Barrett, you're just a little upset because you're losing the game.
Oh.
Take your book. Take it yourself.
A very good performance from Dirk Bogarde, one of the best he ever gave.
Joseph Losey and Dirk Bogarde's next film together would be King and Country.
King and Country, which is once again with his good friend and artistic collaborator, Joseph Losey, is another very powerful piece. This time, it's an anti-war film set against the backdrop of World War I.
It's the story of a military trial of a young soldier, played by Tom Courtenay, and Dirk Bogarde plays the defending military counsel, trying to get him off a charge which will lead to death if he doesn't.
You haven't heard anything, have you, sir?
No.
I mean, after what you said, I couldn't help but, well, it was the truth. That's what I'm trying to say. Nearly everything you said, I could never have said it. You know what I mean, sir?
It was my duty to say it.
Oh, I don't know about that, sir.
It was my duty. If you'd remembered your duty, none of this idiotic rigmarole would have been necessary. How did you get that into your head? Don't thank me for doing my duty. I had to. Just as you should have done yours.
In 1965, Dirk Bogarde was paired with Julie Christie in director John Schlesinger's Darling.
Thank you so much for letting me see the finished product. It was a very good programme.
You really think so?
I thought I looked ghastly, but it was a super programme.
Well, I thought you looked super, and the program looked ghastly. What's more, I'm right, too.
No, I thought you looked frightfully lean and intelligent.
I am frightfully lean and intelligent. Not that helps.
Gosh, you must lead such an interesting life.
Being a professional question mark.
Oh, it's better than being a professional bosom.
What's that?
You should try posing for Bryad sometime.
I did once. Disaster. Complete disaster.
It's really interesting at this phase of his career how many roles Dirk Bogarde was picking up that had sort of social importance, that were much more prickly and complicated than the standard fare. Yeah, he wasn't a regular studio player at all. He was seeking out important parts. And none less than Darling, John Schlesinger's caustic survey of the hip 60s scene, in which Julie Christie sort of gads about town, this stunning model, and poor old Dirk Bogarde falls into her orbit. He's this kind of artistic intellectual who's a bit too bookish for her, really, but he leaves his wife, and he's so enamored. And of course, with time, she will leave him, leaving him crushed and dispirited. And it's, you know, it's really about the dark side of the 60s. It's about the wreckage of the 60s, and that's embodied in Bogarde's character.
Following on from the success of Darling, Bogarde reunited once more with Joseph Losey on Modesty Blaise.
Dirk Bogarde plays arch-villain Gabriel in a sort of blonde wig. It's so camp, it's unbelievable. He's constantly being offered food, extraordinary food, you know, I mean, absolute sort of just the best food you could possibly have, and taking a little taste and saying, oh, take it away, take it away.
That one. No, that one. Oh, decisions, both.
It's great fun. It ends up with him being staked out in the desert. And instead of calling for water, as any normal human being would, he's calling for champagne, champagne. I mean, it's that camp. When you've got Monica Vitti and Terence Stamp in it as well, then how can you lose? I mean, it is enormous fun.
Champagne.
In 1967, Losey and Bogarde would collaborate for a final time on Accident.
Stephen! Hello.
I didn't know that you two had met.
We have, haven't we? Mm-hmm. Jump in.
Me?
Come on, we're going upriver.
Another examination of British class system came when Joe Losey cast Dirk Bogarde in Accident, which was set at Oxford University, where he was a tutor. And it was a kind of a thriller, but at the same time, very class conscious about the way the British always managed to get out of any trouble if they were classy enough, if they knew the right person.
The late 1960s saw Dirk Bogarde attempt a range of ambitious film projects with prominent directors, including John Frankenheimer's The Fixer and George Cukor's Justine. He would also appear in Richard Attenborough's star-studded directorial debut, Oh, What a Lovely War.
We're hoping to get the contracts for tin hats. The whole army has to have...
Oh, how nice. I thought of asking Annie to knit something. You know, mittens and things.
That's a good idea. We sent a parcel to the chauffeur's son, some vendor's food, a tinder box, compass, and some nerve tonic.
How very nice.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, do look.
forced to hold yourself back.
In 1969, Dirk Bogarde made yet another bold move in his career when he appeared in Luchino Visconti's The Damned.
You seem to be ambitious, but you're only a social climber. Sophie wouldn't be happy. You worry too much about Herbert and Constantine, and you forget there's somebody much more important than they are. Joachim. You must realize that today in Germany anything can happen, even the improbable. And it's just the beginning, Friedrich. Personal morals are dead. We are an elite society where everything is permissible.
The Damned is a very dark and complicated film. It's a German production, and Dirk Bogarde plays a character who is a member of the SS, who is infiltrating, for his own selfish reasons, the very rich German industrialist family who owns steelworks. The film covers the event of the Night of the Long Knives, when the SS slaughter the SA, two different parts of the Nazi hierarchy fighting it out against each other. In a way, the plot is also a very dark family drama with lots of twisted sexual agendas. It's the kind of thing now that you would almost see in a telenovela. It's a very intense soap opera set over the top of the vast political events. It's very interesting that this is the beginning of him playing a series of Nazi roles, and he plays a member of the SS, having fought the SS, with amazing delicacy.
If it suited him, Aschenbach could stab me in the back. I know that. But not this time. He's on my side. On our side, Sophie. Herbert was right. They did set the Reichstag on fire, and coming here in the car tonight, Aschenbach was perfectly clear in his own mind that it was going to be successful. We talked about you and about me, about Joachim, about the steelworks. But underneath all that, he was saying, tonight you will be given a special opportunity. It's up to you to decide whether to take it or not. Whether to be with us or against us. You understand what that means, Sophie?
After The Damned, Bogarde continued to work with Visconti on 1971's Death in Venice.
We once had one of those in my father's house. The aperture through which the sound runs is so tiny that at first it seems as if the level in the upper glass never changes. To our eyes, it appears that the sand runs out only at the end. And until it does, it's not worth thinking about.
Bogarde would continue to star for prominent Italian directors when he took on an extremely challenging role in Liliana Cavani's The Night Porter.
I always go with
Thank you very much.
Or some other time.
One of my favorites. The affection has survived. See you soon. Goodbye. My keys, please. Room 25.
I thought your husband is so talented.
You're very kind.
The Night Porter is an astonishing film. It's a very complex, dark art house movie with Dirk Bogarde and Charlotte Rampling. Dirk Bogarde plays a former SS concentration camp commandant, and Charlotte Rampling plays a Jewish woman who he'd had a sadomasochistic affair with during the Second World War. And they're reunited in Paris, where he is the night porter in a hotel.
By the mid-1970s, Bogarde had become a favourite of many of the great auteurs of European cinema, including Alain Resnais, who cast Bogarde in 1977's Providence. But that same year, the actor would make a final return to a British World War II setting when he appeared in Richard Attenborough's A Bridge Too Far.
I've just got back to England from Brussels, where I had a meeting this morning with Field Marshal Montgomery. There was an earlier one with General Eisenhower. They both feel, as I do, that when the Field Marshal's plan has succeeded, we should be able to end the war by Christmas in less than 100 days. Actually, the plan's really very simple. We're going to fly 35,000 men 300 miles and drop them behind enemy lines. It'll be the largest airborne operation ever mounted.
After A Bridge Too Far, Bogarde returned to European cinema once more, when he starred in Rainer Werner Fassbinder's Despair.
He obviously had a thing about working with European directors at this stage. I think he just enjoyed, you know, their kind of different take on films. There was nothing like British or American directors. These guys were sort of way out there. Fassbinder was particularly way out there.
I drink to the plump dumpling breasts and buttocks of your wife.
And I drink to the plump dumpling brains of your cousin.
I intended a compliment. Speaking as a painter.
And so do I, speaking as a connoisseur of soft centers. Chocolate technology lags hopelessly behind the sweet confectionery of Lydia's gray matter. If you opened her cranium like an Easter egg, you would find inside it a matinee assortment of creams, of fondant, of praline, rum truffles, liquid liqueurs, and my favorite, Turkish delight.
By this stage, Dirk Bogarde has become a thoroughly European star. He's adored on the continent. Probably more so than he has in England now, I mean, or in Britain. I mean, he's done his stuff, he's been a British star, but now he's a truly European star. And in recognition of that, he was made president of the Cannes jury, which was the first time that any British actor had ever achieved that. So that was an acknowledgement, I think, tacit acknowledgement of his status in European cinema.
Bogarde took a break from the big screen for over 10 years before appearing in his final film, French director Bertrand Tavernier's Daddy Nostalgie. It brought to a close one of the most wide-ranging and accomplished acting careers in movie history.
He's one of the few actors I know to have themes in his work that clearly he, as a writer and an artist, wanted to explore. You know, he didn't take roles, he went on journeys. And I think he went to investigate things that his mind and his heart felt were important.
It's tempting, and I think perhaps inevitable, to see that part of his selection is based on the horrific experiences he had at the beginning of his life. From being sent away from his parents to the Second World War, he was a very troubled man who then had to deal with being secretive about his sexuality. And you can feel that in his roles. You can feel that bursting to come out.
Not only was he a good actor, a very subtle actor, and an actor who took risks, but he was also a painter. And his books, he wrote several autobiographies, which were very good and were actually bestsellers. So he was as good a writer as he was as an actor. And he was a pretty good painter too. So he was an all-rounder. People never thought of Bogarde as being anything other than an actor, but he was much more than that. He was a very cultured man.
Bogarde was not only a distinguished man of letters, I think he was one of Britain's most compelling and sensitive screen actors.